What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC Vegas 51. We have Belal Muhammad going against Vicente Luque.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back breaking down another fight card this week. Not the best card in the world. Obviously, it's always hard going from a phenomenal card like UFC 273 to a card like this, but there are some decent fights on the card, and, can't complain. Fights every weekend is good with me, and as always, another opportunity to make some money. So we do have 13 fights on the card. Actually, no, we have 14 fights on the card. They did just recently add Munir Lazez got a new opponent, so I'll be breaking that down on Friday, but I got the news like less than an hour ago, so didn't have time to research that. I'm going to research that and then talk about that new matchup on Friday. So I'm going to be talking about 13 fights here. Before we get started, if you guys can please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. That is much, much appreciated, getting really close to 15K subs. Do want to shout out the winners. I did 2 contests last week. Shout out to the first winner, Levi, for the DFS contest. It was how many points does Kianzad Chimaev score on DK? He scored 100.69. Levi guessed 101. There were a couple ties in there, but Levi was the first to comment, was able to get him his winnings there. And then shout out to Jeremy Whalen, who guessed 185 significant strikes combined for the main event. The correct answer was 186. I think there was another tie there as well, but Jeremy was the first to comment there, so he won. Jeremy, if you can hit me up on Twitter or Instagram with your Cash App or PayPal, I will get you your winnings there. So, going to be doing more contests in the future for the next card. I believe it's UFC 274, and that is going to be, I think, on May 7th. I cannot wait for that card. Other than that, I have a lot of stuff going on, dfsbythenumbers.com. Have a lot of content out already, and then I'm going to be getting out some more content throughout the week. My full card articles should be out Wednesday. I do have 3 bets already. Looking forward to making potentially one of my biggest bets of the year, just waiting for these bookies to get some lines out, but I'm really liking a spot on this card. And other than that, should be a pretty big week for me from a betting perspective. Not the best card from like a fan perspective, you got to think, but I think from a betting perspective, there are some really good spots. Other than that, live stream Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, and then live stream Saturday, 1 hour prior to the prelims there. And then once again, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitter, DFS_numbers, and Instagram is DFS by the numbers. But other than that, I think we got all of it out of the way. I say we get into it, and by the way, excuse my hair, having a bad hair day, I suppose, just woke up, but I'm ready to break down this card. Here we go. We have Alatang Lee going against Kevin Croom for the very first fight of the night. We have Alatang Lee, who is 30 years old, 5'5", with a 66.5-inch reach, 14, 8-2, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Kevin Croom, he is 34 years old, 5'11", 73-inch reach, 21-14, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds like we always do, and we see that Alatang Lee did open up as a minus 140 favorite. He's currently minus 180. Kevin Croom opened up plus 120. He is currently plus 155. So, yeah, I guess the big thing that sticks out right away is a couple things. So the tail of the tape, Croom is going to have a massive 6-inch height advantage. On top of that, he is going to have a 6.5-inch reach advantage as well. Kevin Croom is very big, and he did make his debut at 155, I believe, against Roosevelt Roberts, and then he did fight Kelleher at 145 in his last fight, and now he's actually cutting down to 135. So this is a fight where I do want to see the weigh-ins. I think that Croom's going to look much bigger than Alatang Lee, but I want to see, can Croom make that weight? I mean, he's a big dude, 5'11", 135 pounds. I do want to see what Croom does look like on the scales. So this will be his, 3rd different weight class thus far in the UFC, which is very interesting there. But yeah, as far as this fight goes, I actually think it's a really winnable fight from Kevin Croom. Kevin Croom training at Glory MMA and Fitness with James Krause. You got Alatang Lee training at Fight Ready. So both guys had very good camps there. But I guess the thing I don't like with Alatang Lee is going to be the severe lack of volume. This guy just doesn't throw much at all. He lands 2.75 significant strikes per minute, only a 32% accuracy. In his debut against Danaa Bakkarel, this dude gets outlanded 85-36. I personally scored the fight for Dana. I thought, Alateng lost, but, this guy's getting outlanded, clearly in the first round, got outlanded 21-14 by Dana. In the second round, gets outlanded 31-11. And then in the third round, Alateng Haley goes to his wrestling game, is able to win that third round, but, the volume's not there. In his next fight against Ryan Benoit, same thing. Benoit actually outlands him 68-47 against Casey Kenny. Casey Kenny outlands him 109-46, and then against Gustavo Lopez, Gustavo Lopez outlands him 44-36. So in his UFC fights, all four of them have went the distance, and the most significant strikes he has landed is 47. Like, that's going to be a big problem against Kevin Croom, who, maybe he's not the best fighter in the world, but he's very awkward on the feet, very tricky to deal with. And on top of that, he's going to do stuff. He's actually going to throw things, which I think can win him some minutes in this fight. I think in terms of power, you got to give the advantage to Alateng Ali, but he's not been able to really, not going to be out yet in the UFC. And Kevin Croom has shown some durability, especially as of late. Took some hard shots against Kelleher, did get dropped, but was able to recover there. But the bread and butter for Kevin Croom is going to be that ground game. Guys, really, really good on the ground, just has a problem getting it there. Kevin Croom, a 5% takedown accuracy. So I don't really see him taking down Alateng Haley, but, on the feet, I think it's going to be very competitive. The harder shots coming from Alateng Haley, but it's going to be Croom that's going to be doing more. And then if Alateng Haley does want to get this fight down to the mat, I think he can, but that's only going to be playing into the game of Croom. So I think Croom's a very live dog here. It's a very low-level fight, but I'm going to take Kevin Croom for the upset to start off the card, and I'm going to take him to win by decision by just doing things. Next fight, we have Sam Hughes going against Estela Nunez. We have Estela Nunez, 29 years old, 5'4", with a 66-inch reach, 6-2, and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Sam Hughes, 29 years old, 5'4", with a 64.5-inch reach, 5-4, and 1-4 in her last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds. And Estela Nunez opened up -210, currently -210, and then Sam Hughes opened up +180, and she is currently +180. So, Sam Hughes getting one last opportunity. She is 0-3 thus far in the UFC. She had that short notice fight against Tisha Torres with the TKO cut stoppage, where the cut was, not even bad, but kind of felt like she quit in that fight. Torres gets her first ever knockout win. After that, she loses a decision against Luma Lukebumi, and then after that, loses a decision against Luana Pinheiro. I thought she did look, much better in that fight, but this is a fight where Sam Hughes is going to have to get this fight down to the mat. And if she doesn't, I think she's in big trouble. So Estela Nunez makes her debut after about a 2-year layoff. And in that fight, I didn't really know what to expect from Nunez. But, what I had seen from her was really good striking. But the hole in her game was that ground game, was that takedown defense. And that hole in her game definitely showed in her debut against Ariana Carnelossi, where Carnelossi, who is a black belt, was able to take down Estela Nunez 5 times and eventually submit her in that third round. But on the feet, Nunez looked really good. She definitely exceeded my expectations. I thought she had made a lot of improvements, but, it's still, it's clear as day, to beat Estela Nunez, you need to take her down, and you need to work your ground game against her, because she has been submitted twice, and both of her losses, it's just, Sam Hughes, she is a solid grappler, but I don't think the wrestling's there. She is 0-3 on takedowns thus far in the UFC in 3 fights. And like I said, if Sam Hughes does not get this fight down to the mat, I think she's in serious trouble. Sam Hughes is kind of like a walking punching bag, 49% striking defense. I like Estela Nunez here a decent amount, but we are in the small cage. Hughes needs to close distance, get against the cage, take down Estela Nunez. But if she does not do that, I think Nunez makes this look pretty easy. And I do see this fight primarily playing standing. So I got to go Nunez here. I'm going to take Nunez to win by decision. Not a fight I overly want anything to do with, but I will go with the favorite here, Nunez, to get it done. All right, looking forward to this fight for sure. We have Trey Ogden going against Jordan Levitt. We have Ogden, 32 years old, 5'11", with a 71.5-inch reach, 15-4, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Jordan Levitt, 26 years old, 5'9", with a 71-inch reach, 9-1, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds, and Ogden opened up +135, he is now +130, and Jordan Levitt opened up -155, he is +110, so the line did flip there. And I agree with it. I do like Ogden in this fight, and I do think Ogden should be the favorite. And the reason being is I just think he has more paths to victory. I think he's the much more well-rounded fighter. When we're talking striking, Ogden's striking is not the best in the world, but he's going to be the much better striker than Jordan Levitt. Any fight that Jordan Levitt is in the UFC in, he's going to be at a striking disadvantage. And I do like the striking of Ogden. On top of that, in terms of the wrestling, I think Ogden does have the much better wrestling. Ogden is able to get it down to the mat whenever he wants, whereas Jordan Levitt, he does struggle to get it down to the mat at times. His wrestling's not great. He does have unique ways of getting it down to the mat where he wants it, but, Ogden is clearly the better wrestler. He's clearly the better striker, and clearly I think he has the better cardio as well. So the tricky part of this fight is I think Ogden is going to be the clear minute winner in this fight, whether it's on the feet, whether it's taking down Levitt and winning minutes with top control. But the tricky part is Ogden has 4 losses. 3 of them do come by submission, and that's very scary going against Jordan Levitt. But, Ogden is a black belt in BJJ. He is training at Glory MMA and Fitness with James Krause as well. Like I said, I think he's going to have the better cardio, the better striking. I think he can dictate where he wants his fight. If Trey Ogden wants to come out here and, stuff takedowns, keep it on the feet for 15 minutes and outstrike Jordan Levitt, I think that's absolutely on the table. I do not expect that. I do expect Ogden to initiate in the grappling, and that's definitely going to give Levitt some opportunities, but I kind of think Levitt's just first round sub or bust. We do see Levitt slow down a lot as the fight goes on, and I kind of see this fight playing out like the Claudio Poyas fight, where Levitt was a pretty sizable favorite in that fight, but we saw that in the first round, Levitt did have some success, but as the fight went on, he ended up slowing down, and Poyas was able to take him down in the second round, control him for 3 minutes and 41 seconds. In the third round, control him for 4 minutes and 37 seconds, and Levitt just does not have an answer to any of that. I think Levitt needs to get something off his back to win this fight, and it's possible, but I think Ogden should be a bigger favorite. Jordan Levitt, a 0% takedown defense. I think he's 0 for 5 on stuffing takedowns, so Ogden, better striker, better cardio, much better wrestler, but, he has been submitted 3 times. That's the only thing. So I like Ogden here. I'm going to take Ogden to win, actually, by a third-round submission. I think he kind of breaks Levitt. I think he gets Levitt out of there, but I do like Ogden quite a bit in this spot, and I think he gets it done by like a late finish. I think he breaks Levitt there. Moving on, we have the people's main event. We have Martin Buday going against Chris Barnett. We have Buday, 30 years old, 6'4", with a 77-inch reach, 9-1, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Chris Barnett, 35 years old, 5'9", with a 75-inch reach, 22-7 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds, and Buday opened up minus 140, is now minus 225, and Barnett opened up plus 120. He is currently plus 190. So yeah, I guess we could talk about the tail of the tape first. So Buday is going to be 5 years younger. That's big. But the biggest thing is, he's an actual heavyweight. Like, listen to this, 6'4" compared to 5'9" of Chris Barnett. You're not going to see a 5'9" heavyweight in the UFC outside of Barnett. There are, featherweights that are taller than 5'9". Like even Kevin Kroom, he's fighting at bantamweight, and the dude's 5'11", right? So he's very, very short for the heavyweight division, very undersized. And Buday is going to have a 7-inch height advantage. I cannot wait to see the weigh-ins. I think Buday is going to be towering over him. And then on top of that, Buday is going to have a 2-inch reach advantage. Yeah, this was one I wanted to look into a couple weeks ago. The line really stuck out. I didn't end up getting into it until later this week, but I really like what I see from Buday here. Buday, first of all, like I said, he's going to be the more natural heavyweight. He's 6'4", he's huge. On top of that, he has a lot of power, but I think the big thing here is going to be the ground game. I think he can push Barnett against the cage. We are in the smaller cage here, and if he can get on top of Barnett, I think the fight will be over shortly after. Buday, very good takedowns. He goes for takedowns, and on top of that, he has a brown belt in BJJ, the good ground and pound as well. And Barnett, I guess the big hole in his game is going to be that ground game. We saw Ben Rothwell was able to take him down in the first round, was very close to finishing him, and then ultimately finished him in the second round with a choke. And then, he can be taken down. I think if Buday gets on top of him, I think the fight will definitely be over shortly after that. But yeah, on the feet, at range, Barnett's good. He has good speed. He has that nice spinning heel kick against Jean Vellante in his last fight, but I would be shocked if he did that against Buday here. Buday, his one loss comes to Juan Espino, and went back and Juan Espino won that fight by decision. if Juan Espino is not finishing you, I would be, honestly shocked if Chris Barnett did. So I think Buday just has more paths to victory. I guess the one worry or question mark would be the cardio, but Buday, from what I've seen in the second round, his cardio does look good. He does have multiple second round finishes, and Barnett, his cardio in some fights looks good, but in some fights it looks like completely terrible. So I don't think the cardio will be a huge issue, but yeah, I like Buday here. I like him quite a bit. I think he's going to finish Barnett in that second round, whether it's ground and pound or submission. I think he gets him out of there inside the distance. All right, next we have Rafa Garcia going against Jesse Ronson. We have Garcia, 27 years old, 5'7", with a 68-inch reach, 13-2 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Jesse Ronson, 36 years old, 5'10", with a 70.5-inch reach, 21-10 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Looks like we have the line about to pick him here. Ronson opening up as a plus 140 dog, currently minus 110. Rafa Garcia opening up minus 160 is currently minus 110. So pick him. And Ronson, we have not seen him in, I think, like 2 years at this point. It's been a while. Last time we did see Ronson was back in July 25th of 2020, where he did come in. I think it was on short notice against Nicholas Dalby. Dropped him and then eventually submitted him there. But this is the second stint in the UFC. The first stint he went 0-3. Made his debut against Michel Prazeres, got taken out 7 times, lost a split decision, lost to Francisco Trinaldo by decision, and then lost to Kevin Lee by decision. So that was back in 2013 and 2014 for those 3 fights, and split decision losses in all 3 of them, but they were against very good guys. He then goes and fights outside the UFC, does have some success and does have a couple losses outside the UFC as well, but like I said, makes his return against Nicholas Dalby. Great performance, but does pop, I believe it was a tainted supplement, and he does get a little bit of a suspension there. So, I don't know what to think about that, but as far as this fight goes, Rafa Garcia, he's been kind of impressive, but there's a big hole in his game, and I think it's going to be the cardio. Against Grutzmacher, I really liked him to win that fight. I thought stylistically it was a phenomenal fight, and I think if they fought again, I think Garcia should take it, but he kind of, he went all out in that first round. He hurt Grutzmacher bad. He tried to get the finish, then he gassed himself out. He was able to still continue to take down Grutzmacher, but Grutzmacher was putting it on him on the feet. So I guess the thing I don't like about Garcia is going to be the gas tank. I think his wrestling's really good. I think his striking's okay, but the wrestling is very good. He got 7 takedowns in his last fight against a very dangerous fighter in Natan Levy, and his cardio looked a little bit better in that fight, but still the cardio is going to be a worry. I think this is a very close fight. I like the striking of Jesse Ronson. I think he will have the striking advantage. But Garcia's going to make this close. He's going to go for takedowns. He's going to get takedowns. I just think as the fight goes on, he probably does slow down, and I think Ronson probably does take over, starts to have success later in the fight. So I got to go with the guy with the slightly, or with the better cardio, and I got to go with him slightly. But this is a very close fight. I think it is line close for a reason. I will not have any money on this fight, but I will take Jesse Ronson slightly, and I'll take him to win by a very close and competitive decision. But I do not want anything to do with this fight. It should be a good one, though, but a very close fight regardless. Drakkar Klose going against Brandon Jenkins. We have Drakkar Klose, 34 years old, 5'9" with a 70-inch reach, 11-2, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Brandon Jenkins, 30 years old, 6 foot, with a 72-inch reach, 15-8 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Drakkar Klose is the biggest favorite on the card, open at minus 260 and is currently minus 800. Brandon Jenkins opened up plus 220, and he's currently plus 500, so big favorite here in Drakkar Klose, and I think that's mostly because, one guy has UFC caliber, that is Drakkar Klose. He has multiple UFC caliber wins, whereas Brandon Jenkins, the guy's just not UFC caliber, in my opinion. Brandon Jenkins, very, very hittable on the feet. In his debut against Rongju, he showed a 35% striking defense, kind of blocks punches with his face. I will say he's very tough, but getting punched in the face is just not a great strategy. And on top of that, he got taken down multiple times by Rongju, showed a 25% takedown defense in that very first fight of his against Rongju. So he showed poor striking defense. He showed a very poor takedown defense. So it's just hard to be, confident or, pick Brandon Jenkins in the spot. You got to go close. I see why he's a big favorite. He's fought the much better competition. It's not even close. And on top of that, I think he's going to be the better striker. I think he's going to outstrike Jenkins on the feet. And the more dangerous striker is probably Jenkins, but Klose should be the definite minute winner, just landing more. And then on top of that, Klose should absolutely be taking down Brandon Jenkins. I don't think he finishes Brandon Jenkins. Like I said, Brandon Jenkins is very close, and Klose is not much of a finisher. Klose's last finish, I believe, came like 7.5 years ago, something like that. But I think Klose makes this look pretty easy. And I'm going to say he does win by decision. I just don't see Brandon Jenkins posing many problems outside of like a flukish knockout. But, Klose should have him covered pretty much everywhere. Give me Klose for the win, and give me Klose to win by decision. Next, we have Lina Lansberg going against Pannie Kianzad, a rematch here. They last did fight in 2012, and Kianzad was able to get that win. But they're rematching about 10 years later. So Kianzad, 30 years old, 5'7" with a 66-inch reach, 15-6 and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Lina Lansberg, 40 years old, 5'7" with a 65.5-inch reach, 10-5 and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds, and Pannie Kianzad is a big favorite, opening up minus 300, currently minus 415. Lansberg opening up plus 250, currently plus 315. I'm going to keep this one extremely short. Kianzad, she's going to be the better striker. On the feet, it's going to be Kianzad all day. Lansberg, 44% strike and defense. Lansberg, very hittable, low volume. I really do like the striking of Pannie. She's going to be 10 years younger, especially. I think that's huge. I think Pannie's improving her takedown defense. Her ground game's improving. She's improving in general, whereas Lansberg, she's now 40 years old. We have not seen her in a while, like almost 2 years. Last time we saw her was against Sarah McMahon, where she landed literally one significant strike in a 15-minute fight. Yeah, you got to go Pannie Kianzad here with the younger fighter. I think she stuffs the takedowns of Lansberg if they come. And on the feet, it's Pannie for me all day. Pannie by decision, not thinking about that too much. Devin Clark going against William Knight. We have Devin Clark, 31 years old, 6 foot with a 75-inch reach, 12-6 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. William Knight, 34 years old, 5'10" with a 73-inch reach, 11-3 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So this fight is going to be at heavyweight, which is very weird because both these guys are light heavyweights. So these guys are going to be very undersized for heavyweight, but they're going against each other here. And this is the other fight on the card where I want to see both these guys at the weigh-ins. I want to see what they weigh in at. And initially, I thought I would be betting Devin Clark, but I think it'd probably just be best to stay away from this fight. This fight is very, very sketchy, the whole heavyweight thing. If it was at light heavyweight, I probably would be betting Devin Clark here. But since it is at heavyweight, I'm curious to see what William Knight does weigh in at. I feel like the heavyweight aspect of things does favor William Knight here, but I'm just not a big fan of William Knight. I don't think he's that great. I don't think he's UFC caliber, honestly. William Knight thus far in a 5-fight sample has shown a 33% striking defense. And typically, you'll see a striking defense that bad, maybe like in a fight that lasts a couple minutes, maybe finishes early, but it's not often at all. You see a 5-fight sample where a guy has a 33% striking defense. Like that it's horrendous. Like this guy's very hittable. On top of that, he's very low volume. He does hit hard, but Devin Clark has fought many guys that have hit much harder than William Knight. Devin Clark has fought guys like Alexander Rakic. Devin Clark has fought guys like Alonzo Menefield. Alonzo Menefield hits really hard. He was able to eat those shots. Devin Clark, fought Ion Cutelaba. That guy hits pretty hard and was able to survive that. Anthony Smith, Daquan Townsend, Ryan Spann, Mike Rodriguez, Jan Blachowicz. He even fought a middleweight Jake Collier back in the day as well. So he's fought the much better competition. It's not even close. And, stylistically, he has a very clear path to victory, and that's going to be going for takedowns here early and often. William Knight, a 45% takedown defense. I'll never forget the fight where Dalton Jung, the striker, went out there and took down William Knight 8 times, made him look silly. So the takedown defense isn't good for William Knight. The striking defense isn't good for William Knight. The output's not good for William Knight. The cardio's not good for William Knight. He can't make light heavyweight anymore. I just don't know what's the line. I mean, he's athletic, he hits hard, but that's really about it. So Devin Clark, he's going to go for takedowns. He's tough. And on top of that, he has cardio. I think those 3 things are going to be enough to beat William Knight here. But like I said, the heavyweight aspect of things does make things a little bit sketchy. I do want to see where both these guys weigh in at, but you got to go Devin Clark here. Well, I got to go Devin Clark here, and I got to go Devin Clark by decision. I don't think he's going to finish William Knight. Maybe a late finish, if anything, but give me Devin Clark to kind of grind this one out. As always, use his cardio as a weapon, use the wrestling as a weapon, and expose William Knight once again. Here we go. Devin Clark by decision. All right, next we have Pat Sabatini going against TJ Laramie. We have Sabatini, 31 years old, 5'8", with a 70-inch reach, 16-3 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. TJ Laramie, 24 years old, 5'6", with a 66-inch reach, 12-4 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Pat Sabatini, a pretty sizable favorite on the card. One of the biggest favorites as of now. We have Sabatini opening up minus 240. He's now minus 500. Laramie opening up plus 205, and he's now plus 375. So Laramie did make his debut. And it was against Darrick Minner, and Laramie was a pretty big favorite in that fight. It's not showing me what he was, but I want to say he was like minus 250 to minus 300 around there. Big favorite against Darrick Minner. Ended up getting submitted in a minute there. I think Pat Sabatini is the real deal. This guy trains out of Renzo Gracie Philly, the same gym as guys like Sean Brady, and I believe Jeremiah Wells is there as well. Some beast over there, and Pat Sabatini, wrestling background. I believe he did wrestle D1. On top of that, BJJ black belt. TJ Laramie, really good wrestler in his own right. TJ Laramie's probably going to have the better striking here, and he does seem like he hits hard. But Sabatini, what I like about him is the guy is just relentless. I thought that in his last fight against Tucker Lutz, he might not get the takedowns, and if it's on the feet, Lutz would have some success there, but Sabatini was just relentless in terms of getting the takedown. He went for the first takedown, and he didn't get it. Went for a second takedown, didn't get it. Went for a third, and finally was able to get the fight down to the mat. And once it did get down to the mat, you can see that this guy's ground game is no joke. So I think Sabatini is going to get this fight down to the mat. I think he's going to take TJ Laramie's back, and I think he submits TJ Laramie probably early on. I just think the grappling of Pat Sabatini is going to be way too much for Laramie here. I really don't think it's going to be even close in terms of the grappling. Like I said, in the striking, you probably do got to favor Laramie. Sabatini's striking is definitely a work in progress. His grappling is bread and butter, and Laramie is a decent striker. But I think the grappling is a huge difference in this fight. I think this fight does hit the mat, and I think Sabatini does tap out TJ Laramie probably in that first round. Give me Sabatini, first round submission. All right, Mara Bueno Silva going against Yanan Wu. We have Mara Bueno Silva, 30 years old, 5'6" with a 66.5-inch reach, 7-2 and 1 and 2-2 and 1 in her last 5 fights. Wu, she is 25 years old, 5'8" with a 66-inch reach, 12-4 and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. We take a look at the odds, and Mara Bueno Silva is, I think, the third biggest favorite on the card. She opened at minus 110, which is hilarious. She's currently minus 155. Wu is plus 355, and she opened up minus 110 there. So, should be a very winnable fight for Mara Bueno Silva. I guess there's a couple big things here, but the biggest thing is going to be the level of competition. One fighter has fought really good competition in Mara Bueno Silva. She has wins over Jillian Robertson, Mauro Morella Borralho, respectable, kinda. But you take a look at Wu Yanan, and she has a win over Lauren Mueller, which is not respectable, and then she has losses to Mizuki Inoue, Gina Mazzani, and Jocelyn Edwards. So, and then Bueno Silva's losses are much, much better. Manon Fiorot, Montana De La Rosa was that draw, and then Marina Moroz. So her 2 losses, Manon Fiorot and Marina Moroz, 2 very good fighters. And then, you look at outside the UFC, and Wu has fought some very, very, very questionable opponents there as well. And I'm actually surprised that, they're giving Wu another fight here. 1-3 thus far in the UFC, and her only win against Lauren Mueller. On the feet, Wu is going to throw volume, but she is very, very hittable. Bueno Silva, she's kind of hittable in her own right, but she does hit very, very hard. She's dangerous on the feet, but she's most dangerous on the mat. She's a BJJ black belt, and she does have 3 finishes between the Contender Series and her 2 UFC wins, and they're both by submission, and they're both 2 are by armbar, 1's by anaconda choke. So she's very dangerous on the mat. That's her bread and butter. She's a grappler, but the only problem with Silva is she does not go for takedowns. She's attempted 0 takedowns in a 6-fight sample. So if you're counting on Bueno Silva to go for takedowns in this fight, which it would be really smart, you got to think, I would not count on her to do that. So, but if this fight touches the mat in any type of way, she should submit Wu Yanan. It's just you can't trust Silva to go for takedowns. But on the feet, I think the volume will probably be competitive, but, Silva's going to be landing the much harder shots. I think she's going to probably hurt Yanan or woo Yanan and then eventually probably get her out there. So I'm going to go Silva by finish. If you really think about it, like the money line is kind of nuts. Minus 455 for a BJJ black belt who's not going to go for takedowns and is going to strike here. But like I said, I think she is the better fighter. I think she's fought the better competition. I think she's more dangerous, and I think she really hurts Wu in this fight. So I'm going to go Silva to win. I'm going to go Silva to win by some type of finish, whether it is a submission or a TKO there. Andre Fialho going against Miguel Baeza should be a very, very fun fight here. Miguel Baeza, 29 years old, 6'2", with a 74.5-inch reach, 10-2, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Andre Fialho, 28 years old, 6 foot with a 74-inch reach, 14-4, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds. Miguel Baeza opened up minus 140, is currently minus 170, and then Fialho opened up plus 120. He is currently plus 145. So yeah, Fialho did fight Michel Pereira in his last fight, and he made a good account of himself there. I thought, early on he'd have some success, and he did. I thought the first round was very close. He probably could have even gave Fialho the first round, just landing the harder shots. And as the fight goes on, Fialho does slow down, and as expected, Fialho's gas tank is not great. But what is great is going to be that power. This guy hurts people, and he hurts people a lot. This guy has a ton of power in his hands. He has finished 86% of his wins, and 79% of them are coming by knockout. So, and he's beaten guys like James Vick was in the UFC. He knocked out James Vick. Stefan Sekulic knocked him out with a nice elbow as well. So he's very dangerous. It's just there are some things I don't like in the game of Fialho. The first thing is he is pretty hittable. Second thing is he is pretty low volume. Like I said, he hits hard though, so it kind of evens it out. And then the third thing is the cardio. He does slow down as the fight goes on. So Baeza, he did get knocked out in his last fight, but I think this is a very winnable fight for him. If he does not get knocked out, Baeza is going to have the speed advantage, the volume advantage. On top of that, Baeza is going to have a massive cardio advantage. Baeza has fought the better competition. I just think he's going to have a lot of advantage in this fight. Baeza is a black belt in BJJ. If this fight hits the mat, he's going to have the advantage there as well. He's a good grappler. I do see this fight staying standing. I do see Baeza outlanding Fialho. I'm going to actually say by decision here. Fialho does seem like a very tough guy. He does slow down a lot, but again, very tough. Only been knocked out, I think, twice, and one was against Chris Curtis. But I'm going to say Baeza kind of outpoints him and wins by decision here. But yeah, Fialho's dangerous. He's going to have a puncher's chance here. Baeza has been knocked out before. Baeza has been hurt before. The chin is kind of questionable, you could say at this point, but I'm going to go Baeza. I think he's going to be the clear minute winner here. Throwing more, better cardio especially. I'm going to take Baeza to win. I'm going to take him to win by decision. All right, co-main event here. We have Caio Borralho going against Gadzhi Omargadzhiev. We have Omargadzhiev. He is 29 years old, 6'1", 67-inch reach, 13-0, obviously 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Caio, he is 5'10", 75-inch reach, 10-1, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds. And Omargadzhiev opened up minus 150. He's currently minus 140. And Caio opened up minus 150. He's currently minus 140. So yeah, this is probably one of the toughest, if not the toughest fight to call on the card. You have 2 guys making their debut. You don't know a ton about them. I went and watched pretty much every single fight possible of him. But, Gadzhi, this guy's ground game is legit. His takedowns are legit. His top control is legit. His cardio is legit. And it's something you'd like to see from these guys that are going to go out there, shoot multiple takedowns. Can their cardio hold up? And, his cardio definitely can. On top of that, he does have some striking to go along with it. This guy's a very, very good fighter. Both guys are. And that's what makes this fight so tough to call, because Caio, does have 2 wins on the Contender Series. One was by decision. The other was by knockout. I liked what I saw in both of those fights. His striking looks really good. He didn't get to show it off a ton, but you go back and watch some of his fights outside the UFC, and his wrestling's really good as well. He's a BJJ black belt. Just a very well-rounded guy. The cardio's good as well. Just a very well-matched fight here. This is a tough one. I think I'm going to slightly edge with Caio here, the dog. He's going to have a massive 8-inch reach advantage, so on the feet, I'm going to favor Caio regardless, but especially with that 8-inch reach advantage, I think he has more tools on the feet. I like the volume there. But, Gadzhi is going to probably take him down, but I do like what I see from Caio in terms of his defensive grappling. I like what I see in terms of the takedown defense. Like I said, BJJ black belt, I think he could definitely hold his own. I don't think one takedown and it's over type situation. I think Caio can work his way back up if he does get taken down. But it's a close fight. I see this fight playing out one of two ways. Either Gadzhi is able to take down Caio and control him for 15 minutes, or, Caio is able to, use his ground game, maybe reverse sweep, get on top, or, keep this standing and outstrike Omargadzhiev for 15 minutes. I'm kind of leaning towards him outstriking Gadzhi, but it's a tough fight. It's a very tough fight. I think it should be lined close. It's a very close fight. Both these guys are awesome. I wish they would have kind of built these guys up, because I think both guys have a lot of upside, actually, but I guess they're putting them against each other and putting them as the co-main event. So we'll see what happens. Give me Caio, but it's a tough one. It is a very tough fight. I like both guys a lot. Caio by decision. Next, we have the main event. I want to remind you guys that me and Uncle Weezy went live on the MMA Engine YouTube channel. We did a main event deep dive. If you've not checked that out yet, go check it out. We talked about the main event from a betting perspective and all that good stuff. Vicente Luque, Belal Muhammad. Luque, 30 years old, 5'11", with a 76-inch reach, 21-7-1, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Belal Muhammad, 33 years old, 5'11", with a 71-inch reach, 20-3, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds. And Vicente Luque opened up as a -210 favorite, currently -170, and Belal Muhammad opened up +180, is currently +145. So, where should we start? So, Belal Muhammad, he looked really good in his last fight against Stephen Thompson. We saw prior to that Thompson fight that, Gilbert Burns was able to kind of do the same thing, and Muhammad fought a really smart game plan. Muhammad went out there and he took down Stephen Thompson for 15 minutes straight, took him down 7 times, and, didn't give Thompson many opportunities on the feet. I don't think it's going to be that simple in this fight against Vicente Luque. Vicente Luque, his takedown defense is solid, but he can't be taken down. And what you notice going through his record is he hasn't fought many guys that want to take him down. I'm sure many want to take him down, but he hasn't fought many guys that were able to take him down. When he was taken down 3 times against Leon Edwards, he lost that fight. That was back in 2017, and then he lost the fight against Michael Graves on The Ultimate Fighter, and that was back in 2015. So 2 losses for Vicente Luque. Well, 3 losses. There's 3 losses for Luque in the UFC, and 2 of them dealt with, his opponents taking him down. Other than that, he got taken down against Baeza, was able to kind of reverse him and get that Darce choke there. He got taken down by Randy Brown, knocked him out. Got taken down by Nico Price, knocked him out. Taken down by Derek Krantz, knocked him out. Taken down by, and that's about it. So his takedown defense is gonna get tested here. Belal Muhammad, solid wrestler. I don't think his wrestling is amazing. 33% takedown accuracy. It looked really good and much improved, but it was just like 3 or 4 fights ago where he struggled to take down Diego Lima. I don't think that was a good look. Belal Muhammad went 1 for 10 on takedowns against Diego Lima. It's just a long time to be stuck in the cage with Vicente Luque. Vicente Luque is no bum on the mat at all. Vicente Luque has like 5 or 6 submission wins in the UFC. He's a black belt in BJJ. He's comfortable there as well, but on the feet is where Luque wants to be, and on the feet, he's going to give Belal Muhammad a lot of problems. I think Luque is going to finish Belal Muhammad at some point in this fight, whether it is like a club and sub, whether it is a knockout. Belal Muhammad's going to get hit. He's going to get hit hard. I don't think it ends as early as their first fight, which did end in about a minute. I think a minute 19, but I think this fight does end at some point. Luque's going to go to war, and I don't think Belal is going to be able to, engage in that war. Most people are not able to. So, Luque is just a hard fighter to deal with. He's dangerous anywhere the fight goes. He's dangerous on the feet. He's dangerous on the mat. I think he really hurts Muhammad here and puts him out. I'm going to say like a 2nd or 3rd round finish. But, Muhammad, he could have some opportunities here to get takedowns and control time, but I think it's going to be much easier to take down and hold down Stephen Thompson than take down and hold down a guy like Vicente Luque. So give me Luque to win. Give me Luque to win by knockout or submission inside the distance at some point in this fight. Guys, that is about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys can leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Be sure to check out dfsbythenumbers.com. Lots of stuff going on over there. I do have already 3 bets I'm looking to make another bet very soon. Just waiting for the books to get this line out that I'm looking for. And yeah, other than that, follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. Live stream on Friday after the weigh-ins. We'll talk about the weigh-ins, and I'll also talk about the new matchup with Lazez. Just got a new opponent like less than an hour ago as of recording. And live stream Saturday for Best Bet. Me, Uncle Weezy, Narco Cop, and Eric. We're going to do Best Bet 1 hour prior to the prelims. So yeah, lots to look out for. Make sure you are subscribed to not miss out on anything. Leave a like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Best of luck. UFC Vegas 51. Well, let's make some money, guys.